The wind is blowing incredibly hard tonight, isn't it? It sounds almost like voices, angry voices, trying to force their way in through the small cracks in the window frames. Hearing that wind reminded me of a story I heard a long time ago. Or maybe it's something that actually happened to me. I'm not quite sure anymore. Memories get a little blurry, a little distorted when you stay up this late at night. Do you want to hear it? It's scary. It's darker than the stories I usually tell. But don't worry, you're safe here with me. Nothing can touch you while you're listening to my voice. So please, make yourself comfortable. Pull the blanket up to your chin. Cover your feet. Close your eyes if you want, or just watch the shadows dancing on the wall behind me. Let me tell you about the old Grand Hotel and the terrifying rules of the night shift. It all started when I desperately needed a job. My bank account was empty, and I was getting desperate. I found a small crumpled ad in the corner of a newspaper for a night security guard at an old hotel on the outskirts of town. They said it was easy money, quiet work. All I had to do was sit at the front desk from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. The interview was short. The manager was a nervous little man with pale, sweaty skin and trembling hands. His eyes darted nervously around the room as if he were chasing flies that weren't there. He gave me a heavy black flashlight, a set of rusty keys that jingled ominously, and a crumpled piece of paper. He didn't shake my hand. He didn't wish me good luck. He just looked at me with an expression of pure pity and whispered, "Read the list. Follow the list. Don't deviate from the list." And then he grabbed his coat and rushed out the door, leaving me there, alone in that huge, silent lobby. I sat down in the heavy leather chair behind the desk. It creaked loudly under my weight, the sound echoing off the marble floors. The lobby was silent, dead silent, the kind of silence that feels heavy, pressing against your eardrums. I unfolded the paper the manager had given me. It had 3 rules written in red ink, scribbled in messy, frantic handwriting. Rule number 1, check the basement door every hour. It must always be locked. Do not enter. Okay, I thought. Simple enough. Rule number 2, if you hear piano music coming from the ballroom, do not investigate. Put on your headphones and hum loudly until it stops. That was strange. It gave me chills just reading it. But it was the 3rd rule that made my blood run cold. wearing shoes, you're safe. If she's barefoot, run to the office and lock the door until dawn. The first hour was agonizingly boring. To pass the time, I started rummaging through the drawers of the reception desk. That's when I found it. A thick, dusty leather notebook. It was the security log. The pages were yellow and brittle. Curiosity got the better of me, and I opened it to see what the previous cards had written. The first entries were normal. October 4, quiet night, checked the doors. October 5, a pipe burst in the laundry room. But as I went on, the handwriting began to change. It became irregular, pressing hard on the paper. November 12, the entry read, I can hear them in the walls. They're scratching at the plaster. They want out. I turned the page. November 15, the piano won't stop playing. Even when I hum, it's getting louder. I think the song is calling my name. My hands began to shake as I read the final entry, dated just 2 days ago. It was written in large, frantic letters that took up the entire page. She is not wearing shoes. She is not wearing shoes. God help me. I slammed the book shut. Dust flew into the air. I shoved it back into the drawer and tried to steady my breathing. It was just a prank, I told myself. Just kids trying to scare the new employee. But the silence in the lobby felt different now. Less empty. More watchful. At 11 p.m., I decided to make my first round to clear my head. I had to follow rule number 1. I walked to the back of the hotel, where the entrance to the basement was located. The air grew colder with each step. I stood at the top of the stairs, looking down into the dark abyss. It smelled of wet earth and old copper. I descended, the wooden steps creaking under my boots. When I reached the bottom, I shone my flashlight on the heavy iron door. It was locked, but as I turned to leave, I heard something. A scratch. A slow, deliberate scratch on the other side of the metal door, like someone running a fingernail across it. I froze. I held my breath. Then the door handle shook. Just once. Violently. Clink! Something strong was on the other side. I didn't wait. I ran back up the stairs, my heart pounding in my throat, trying to convince myself it was just air pressure, just the wind. I needed water. My throat was dry with fear. I decided to make a quick detour to the hotel kitchens on the ground floor. It was a mistake. The kitchen was a maze of stainless steel tables and hanging pots. The beam from my flashlight bounced off the metal surfaces, creating confusing reflections everywhere. It was freezing cold in there. As I walked toward the sink, the sound, the distinctive hiss of a gas stove igniting. I turned with my light. One of the burners on the industrial stove was lit, a blue ring of fire dancing in the darkness. I hadn't touched it. No one had been here for hours. I walked slowly to turn it off. As I reached for the knob, I saw something on the stainless steel counter next to the stove. A handprint, a greasy, wet handprint. It was small, too small to be mine, and it was fresh. I turned off the gas, my fingers shaking uncontrollably. I backed out of the kitchen, keeping my light focused on the shadows, feeling as if 1,000 eyes were watching me from the pantry. I returned to the desk, barely maintaining my composure. I looked at the security monitors. It was now 2 a.m. The screens showed grainy black and white views of the hallways. Everything seemed motionless. But then, on the 3rd floor monitor, I saw something. The elevator doors were opening and closing, opening and closing. Ding, ding, repeatedly. But there was no one there pressing the button. I watched, mesmerized by fear, as the elevator doors remained open for a long time, as if waiting for an invisible passenger to enter. Then they closed, and the numbers on the display began to rise. 3, 4, 5. It was going down to the lobby. My heart raced. I looked at the elevator doors across the lobby in front of me. The numbers lit up. 2, 1, lobby. Ding. The doors slid slowly open. I held my breath, clutching the flashlight like a weapon. But the cabin was empty. Just an empty metal box. However, when the doors opened, a smell wafted out into the lobby. The strong, overwhelming scent of rotten flowers and old perfume. I looked away, refusing to acknowledge it.
Around 3:30 a.m., the atmosphere changed abruptly again. The air became heavy, thick, difficult to breathe, like being underwater. And then I heard it, a soft, melancholy melody, a piano. It was coming from the ballroom at the end of the hallway. It was beautiful, hauntingly beautiful, but something didn't feel right. The notes sounded damp, distorted, as if the piano were being played at the bottom of a lake. I remembered rule number 2, don't investigate. But the music was hypnotic. It pulled at me. Curiosity is a very dangerous thing, isn't it? I found myself standing up. I took a step toward the ballroom doors. The music grew louder, sweeter. It was calling me inside. Come here, it seemed whispered. Come see who's playing. My hand rested on the gold brass handle of the ballroom doors. I could feel the vibration of the music through the wood. Then I remembered the manager's trembling hands. I remembered the fear in his eyes. I pulled my hand away as if it had been burned. I ran back to the desk, put on my headphones, turned the volume up to full blast, and hummed. I hummed until my throat hurt. I hummed to drown out the beautiful, deadly music.
When I finally took off my headphones, it was 4:30 in the morning. Silence had returned to the hotel. I felt foolish. I was exhausted. I thought, it's just an old building. The pipes are making noise. My mind is playing tricks on me. I decided to take one last walk before sunrise, just to stretch my legs and wake myself up. I walked past the front desk, through the dark and gloomy lobby, and turned the corner toward the elevators. And there she was, completely motionless. A woman in a long, flowing red dress. She had her back to me. She was facing the elevator doors. My heart stopped beating. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't move a muscle. She was very tall, abnormally tall. Her head almost touched the top of the elevator frame. Her arms seemed a little too long for her body, hanging limply at her sides. I remembered rule number 3 instantly. Don't look at her face. Slowly and painfully, I forced my eyes down. I looked past them of her silky red dress. I needed to see her shoes. I prayed to see high heels, boots, sneakers, anything. But there was nothing. Pale, white, dead skin, no shoes. She was barefoot, and her toes pointed backward, as if her feet were twisted. Then she began to turn around. Slowly, her dress brushed the floor with a soft swish. I didn't wait to see her face. I didn't wait to see what she looked like. I ran. I ran faster than I had ever run in my life. I slammed the office door shut and locked it. I bolted it. I pushed a chair under the handle. I curled up under the desk, shaking, hugging my knees to my chest. And for the next 2 hours, the terror really began.
I heard the sound of bare feet slapping the floor outside. Slap, 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 walking back and forth right in front of the door. Then, abruptly, the footsteps stopped. The silence that followed was even worse than the noise. I pressed my hands over my mouth to stifle my breathing. I stared at the space under the door. I saw a shadow standing there, blocking the light. Then the doorknob began to turn slowly, creak. The metal groaned under the pressure. I watched it turn left, then right. It shook violently, making the entire frame tremble. I closed my eyes tightly, praying that the lock would hold. And then, a voice spoke from the other side. But it wasn't a monster's voice. It was soft, kind. "Open the door," it whispered. "It's me. Your shift is over. You can come out now." It sounded exactly like the manager, the same tone, the same nervousness. For a second, a fraction of a second, I almost got up to open it. I almost believed it. But then I looked at my watch. It was only 5:15 a.m. The manager never arrived before 6. He was lying. He was imitating him to get me to open the door. I didn't answer. I didn't move. When the thing outside realized I wasn't falling for the trick, the voice changed. It dropped to a low, guttural growl that vibrated through the wood. "Open the door." Then came the scratching. Slow, deliberate scratches of long nails dragging across the wood of the door. Scratch, scratch. It went on for what seemed like an eternity.
When the sun finally rose, the sounds ceased instantly. The shadow beneath the door faded away. I waited another 20 minutes before daring to move. The manager arrived at 6 a.m. sharp. He didn't ask how my night had been. He didn't seem surprised. He just looked at the deep scratches, 4 long dashes carved into the outside of the office door, and handed me my check without saying a word. I took it and stepped out into the morning light. I never went back, but that was a long time ago. Or maybe it was just a story I read in a book somewhere. It's hard to tell what's real and what's a dream at this hour. You don't have to worry about the woman in the red dress. You're safe in your bed. The doors are locked. The windows are shut. It's time to sleep now. Let the story fade away like smoke. Clear your mind. No more hotels. No more rules. Just tranquility. Just peace.
And that is where the story really ends for tonight. I really hope it gave you a little chill, or at least a good distraction from your own thoughts. Thank you so much for watching and spending this time with me. If you liked this video, please give it a like and don't forget to subscribe. It really helps me create more content for you. Let me know in the comments if you want more horror stories or if you'd prefer something lighter next time. I read all the comments. Now, close your eyes tight. Sweet dreams. Good night.